we have done first wave of feminism, second wave of feminism. Tomorrow we will talk about third wave of feminism. That's it, all right? Yeah, you are missing the class. Have you completed? Okay. Sure, that's good. If you miss, then complete it. Yeah, that would be better. Now, if you see the third wave of feminism, it is radical feminism. Radical feminism. Right. Yeah, it is called radical feminism. Why it is called radical feminism? Because their approach was very aggressive, right? Very assertive, very radical, very militant, right? जैसे जीन्स पहन लिया, सिगरेट पीने लगे, right? Violating all norms. Extremist नो कहिए, radical कहिए, militant मतलब वैसे नहीं गन लेके, right? मतलब हम जो कल्चर है ना, महिलाओं को साड़ी में रहने का या अच्छे से बात करने का या सिगरेट नहीं पीने का, वो हम नहीं करेंगे. हम कुछ ऐसा करेंगे, राइट? जैसे जींस नहीं पहनना है, सिगरेट नहीं पीना है, सिगरेट पीना है, राइट? Actually, their approach was very different, right? And they thought that, mere legal reform, mere political reform, right to vote, right to property, right to participate in politics, that did not change the situation of women, right? Why? Because they focused, see this at the last power structure within the family, within the family is unequal. Right? Structure within the family between man and woman are unequal. Right? In family, it is a man who always prevails. Right? And it prevails since childhood, even since birth. Fine? Now, if you look at this power structure, this domination here, man dominates woman in the family, and that reflects every sphere of the life. इंसान कहाँ से सीखता है? फैमिली से सीखता है बहुत कुछ. वुमेन से कैसे बात करना है, वुमेन को कैसे ट्रीट करना है, राइट? वुमेन को कैसे रिस्पेक्ट देना है, किस हद तक बोलना है, उसके बाद चुप हो जाना है, राइट? Where are your boundaries? Right? So power structure within the family is unequal, right? Since man is prevailed over woman, and this power structure reflect in all domain of life. You go to office, you can see man is ruling. कहाँ से सीखा? उसने फैमिली में सीखा, राइट? कि मैन हमेशा प्रिवेल होता है. तो वहां गया तो वहां वही करने लगा, राइट? सेकेंडली, दे फोकस ऑन द सेक्सुअल रिलेशन बिटवीन मैन एंड वुमन. Between man and woman. Man and woman. So that, if you look at the sexual relation, woman has no control over her sexuality. Who does control? It is a man. Right? So even she doesn't have right to abortion. Right? She has to take permission. She has no right to, decide about the childbirth. Right? When she wants to give birth to the baby or doesn't want to give birth to the baby, how many child she wants, she does not decide. Who decides? Man. Right? And they talked about, look at pornography. Right? The pornography and prostitution. It is nothing. It is an expression, of patriarchy. Right? They explored one concept called patriarchy. Right? And the roots of patriarchy lies in the family. The roots of patriarchy lies in the family in which a man dominates a woman. And that domination reflects in everywhere of life. What is rape? Rape is not out of sexual desire. No. It is a consequences of patriarchy. Right? This woman, radical feminist demystified the concept of motherhood. Right? Marriage, culture. Right? And that's why they are called radical feminists. They are very, very successful activists in, raising consciousness among people. That giving birth is a gender. Right? Okay, woman can give birth, but rearing child, right, taking care, feeding, it is not designed, it is not natural. Man can also feed child, baby. Right? Man can take care of baby. But largely it is assigned to woman. Right? Cooking, right? Cleaning. It is not that man cannot do, but since through the culture, culture has assigned these tasks to women. There are many philosophers. One was Simone de Beauvoir. Simone de Beauvoir was from France. Her famous quotation is, woman is The quotation is Simone de Beauvoir ka, man is not man, woman. Simone de Beauvoir. Yeah, women are not born but become a woman. Women are not born but become a woman. Right? So, जब जन्म होता है, when the child takes birth, right? That is only biological difference. But we associate pink color with women, right? When they gift, right? On the कोई बच्चा होता है किसी घर में, तो गिफ्ट देते तो बच्चा आप सोचता अच्छा लड़का है या लड़की है? लड़का है then you give another kind of gift. लड़की है you can give another kind of gift. Right? The boys are reared differently. Girls are reared differently. Girls who are speak softly. Right? Fine. ये क्या है हमारे घर की तो ये तो पढ़ाई घर की है. ये तो दूसरे घर ही जाएगी. I hope you girls have not heard about in your family, but there are culture. This is cultural impact. So they actually explain patriarchy. They explain gender and sex, right? They also criticize the formal equality between man and woman. Fine.
So the sex and gender debate was only about radical feminism,
Yeah.
not the whole.
Not the sex and gender difference made this. Actually, their interpretation was cultural. Right? So, what is sex? What is gender? We'll discuss. Sex and gender. This is a biological difference. One could be male, one could be female. But gender is a cultural development, cultural construction. Right? For example, मैंने पॉलिटिक्स क्लास में पूछा था, how many of you are where your father cooks on everyday basis? None of them have raised their hand. There are approximately 45 students. None of them, and I hope none of them will raise hands. नहीं sir, मेरे घर में पापा घर डेली खाना बनाते. No, it's a mother. And why this mother cooks every day in household? Why father, not cook? Is it that mothers, take birth, girls take birth with such quality? Who's the best cook in India? Sanjeev Kumar, right? Look at every household. It is a woman, right? This is a woman who cooks, but who's the best cook? संजीव कुमार. और एक बरार है, मैं पहले देखा करता था कैसे खाना बनाता है, रणवीर बरार. आप लोग भी देखते हैं क्या? हाँ, जानते हैं? ओके, बड़ा स्टाइल में, बड़ा ही मतलब बड़ा अच्छा तरीके हम का हिस्ट्री के साथ जोड़ के खाना. Yes, sure. Yes. He relates history and the way he presents. It's very good presenter. He's a good presenter, right? He's a good teacher.
So also we've seen that family has been praising them. तेरे हाथ का खाना बहुत अच्छा
बनता है. That's a culture, no?
Yeah. So they push this thing
into their mind. Of course, साड़ी पहनो. That's
why women don't find any problem with it.
Exactly. The woman internalize things, right? Have you heard about socialization process? It's all socialization process that makes a woman a woman. Otherwise, कोई difference नहीं है. Biological difference के अलावा कोई difference नहीं है. But it is a purely socialization, which is culture. Socialization which makes a woman a woman.
So at this point, Madam Wollstonecraft also said, like, she criticized Rousseau for this thing, like, you give false sense of beauty and this to it. So isn't that also culture?
That was exactly that was actually minor critique. Now, if you look at this, they were, actually they were focused cultural part more, right? They focused on family more, right? अभी तक family क्या था? Family private. You remember Aristotle, right? That government should make public deal, right? Government make rules, regulation about the public, and private should be left alone. Private में interfere नहीं करना चाहिए. Private is a sphere where man play a greater role, right? And man is subordinate. Man subordinates woman. Woman is subordinate to the man. So from there, Aristotle to Hobbes. Have you heard about Hobbes? मैंने कहा कि Hobbes also thinks that woman is not suitable to rule, right? So from Hobbes and other, or even John Rawls, they thought that this is a two sphere, public and private. But this radical family said this is not. This sphere also, has lots of inequality, power structure, injustice, and therefore this private is not private. This is also political. This is not personal affair. It is also political affair, right? So there is one slogan, famous slogan by the radical feminists, that personal is political. Personal is political. Right, and therefore, the state should make law in order to regulate personal affairs. For example, domestic violence, dowry, right? Isn't it? Pre-marriage, not pre-marital sex. That post-marriage, that is called. We debate children rape your marital rape, right? So the radical feminist wants to make family egalitarian. I'm not against family. Let me tell you. ऐसा ही नहीं बोलने कि नहीं family खत्म कर दो, नहीं. The radical feminist wants to make family egalitarian. मेरी भी पोछा लगा ले, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है ना। मेल भी खाना खिला दे अपने बच्चे को, right? So radical feminist objective is to make family more egalitarian, and if you will make the family egalitarian, society will automatically be egalitarian, right? अगर आप फैमिली को egalitarian बना दें तो सोसाइटी अपने आप egalitarian हो जाएगी। समझ में आया? Yes. So this is private public dichotomy was first given by Aristotle when he gave his view on women, and that when he gave a idea on women also and household, idea of household. In the household, man is a master or slave, right? Man is a husband, and woman is a wife. Tied with the matrimonial relationship. Man is always, rational, logical, has capacity to debate, and that's the main man, participate in state. But woman lacks this capacity, as Aristotle projected. So he said that woman should not be a citizen, right? He actually excluded woman from citizenship. So within the household, he subordinated woman under the authority of man. Right, and he started the debate that is called private family. Yes, private family. Public matter को देखना चाहिए, public matter हम private छोड़ देते हैं। अभी भी लड़ाई होता है, अगर फैमिली में लड़ाई जाती है तो बोल जाते हैं मत बोलो यार, पर्सनल मामला है, उनका अपना मामला है, right? But कोई feminist says no, that कोई अपना मामला नहीं होता, सब political मामला होता है, right? Even in your household, if you negotiate with your brother, even for sake of anything, even remote, आप टेलीविजन देखते हो और 2 घंटे आप देखते हो, 2 घंटे देखते हो, तो आप बांट लेते हो टाइम ना। अच्छा 1 घंटा तुम देखोगे अपने चॉइस से, 1 घंटा मेरी मर्जी चलेगी। you are political, you are negotiating with your brother, right? And it is a political. मैं ये साफ करती हूँ, तुम इधर साफ करो, right? नहीं तो अदरवाइज वो बोले खुद साफ करो, हाँ भैया साफ करो, तुम आओ, चलो हाथ दो, राखी बांध देती, मेरी रक्षा करना भैया, मेरा सारा प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स खा जाए। What does it mean? Right? But when do you negotiate? That means, anyway, got the idea? Little bit? थोड़ा चल देखो, तो हम ये शुरू करेंगे। टाइटल दीजिए थर्ड फेमिनिज्म। Third wave of feminism. It was radical feminism, and time क्या था? It was 1960s and 70s, 1960s and 70s, और अभी तक चल रहा है। ऐसा नहीं कि खत्म हो गया, नहीं, अभी भी लिबरल फेमिनिस्ट हैं, अभी भी सोशलिस्ट फेमिनिस्ट मिलेंगे आपको, राइट? और अभी भी रेडिकल फेमिनिस्ट मिलेंगे, राइट? सो बट ओरिजिन है 70 का है और उसके बाद ये चल रहा है। फाइन, अच्छा थोड़ा सा एक्सपोनेंट कौन है? की एक्सपोनेंट्स है, राइट? PETT Friday, RI की किताब का नाम है The Feminist Mystique, The Feminine Feminine Mystique. the family my state. Then दूसरा है सामान दे होता है B E A U V I O R. इनकी किताब का नाम है सी वो फ्रेंच, इसलिए फ्रांस ऐसे करते हैं. ब्रिटिश फ्राइडे द फैमिलिस्ट माइट सीक, साइमन दे बोल का नाम है, का किताब का नाम है द सेकंड सेक्स. किताब है द सेकंड सेक्स. दूसरा तीसरा लिखिए केट मिलेट. मिलेट इनकी किताब का नाम है एक्चुअल पॉलिटिक्स. राइट. ब्रिटिश फ्राइडे, साइमन दे बोल, केट मिलेट. राइट. ये तीन मेजर है और पढ़ेंगे हम लोग धीरे धीरे, बट द की आइडियाज फैमिली से निकल के आया था. की कॉन्सेप्ट है पहला पर्सनल इज पॉलिटिकल. पर्सनल इज political. Second, they define patriarchy. Actually, they decoded patriarchy. Patriarchy. Then we see sex and gender. Then D. They were critical of liberal equality. They were, actually get concept equality with the difference. Equality with difference. ये सारा में concept पढ़ना है. Personal, sex and gender, equality with difference. Right? But before we go to it now, we need to talk about a little about radical feminism. What is radical feminism? Right? What is radical feminism? Right, radical feminism is a real feminism. Radical feminism is a real feminism because it is based on radical feminism is a real feminism because it is based on women's everyday life. Women's everyday life. Yeah. In 1960s and 70s, in 1960s and 70s, in 1960s and 70s, women argued that achievement of legal, political, and civil rights, achievement of legal, political, and civil rights have not liberated women. have not liberated women. It did not solve women's question. It did not solve women's question. The roots of gender-based oppression, the roots of gender-based oppression lies in deeper. And its origin is family. Radical feminist, continue, focused on two themes. Radical feminists focused on two themes. First, theme. THEM, yeah. Focused on two themes. First, the power structure. Secondly, sexual relationship between man and woman. Sexual relationship between man and woman. They argued that, they decoded power operation within the family. And argued that patriarchy is a root of inequality. Which genesis, whose genesis, not which, whose genesis, WHOSE, whose genesis lies in the family. Right? They viewed patriarchy, not that. They viewed patriarchy as a dividing between man and woman, primarily along the line of sex. Yeah, change the paradigm and write. Radical feminists are called radical because their approach is very assertive. Radical feminists are called radical because their approach is very assertive and militant Their aim is to dismantle patriarchy. Their aim is to dismantle patriarchy. Their main goal is to dismantle patriarchy, or main aim is to dismantle patriarchy. Radical feminists are credited with the use of conscious raising growth. With the use of conscious raising. कुछ छूट जाए तो बताइएगा. Raising. Raising growth. Right? To make people aware about women's oppression. Women's right? They used Marxist concept of exploitation. They used Marxist concept of exploitation and Gramscian notion of culture. To explain women's condition in the society. इतना समझ में आया? जो मार्क्स एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की बात करता है, ये भी एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की बात करती है. कौन? रेडिकल फेमिनिस्ट. कि देखिए जो आधी आबादी है, the 49% of population are exploited, right? And they use also the Gramscian notion of culture. That culture is a one tool through which the entire half of the population are being exploited. है ना? ठीक है? Making sense? Shobit, Raghav, Khyati, Ashwin, Ashish, Arjun.
Is dark feminism coming with the
What?
part of radical feminism?
What?
Dark.
Black feminism.
Black or dark? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it will come. No, they are not from radical feminists. I'll talk about. They are under fourth wave of feminism that we'll talk about intersectionality. Right, we'll talk about. Don't worry. Change the paragraph, right? Radical feminists raised the issue of issues of reproductive rights. Radical feminists raised the issue of reproductive rights, freedom to make choice to give birth, right to abortion, right to get sterilized, etc. आपको पता है राइट टू अबॉर्शन 1970 के बाद आया है और वुमेन मूवमेंट का रेडिकल मूवमेंट का बहुत कंट्रीब्यूशन है, राइट? यहाँ पर 1973 में आया है यूएस में. रेडिकल फेमिनिस्ट का बहुत कंट्रीब्यूशन है राइट टू अबॉर्शन. अदरवाइज वुमेन की वो अबॉर्ट करवा ले, राइट? एक लाइन उसी में जोड़ लीजिए. रेडिकल feminist explained pornography, prostitution, explain pornography, prostitution as a system of women's operation. As a system of women's operation. They explained rape as an expression of patriarchal social order. They explained rape as an expression of patriarchal social order. Patriarchal social order. Right? They criticize the concept of motherhood, marriage, and prevailing culture. They criticize the concept of motherhood, marriage, and prevailing culture. जो already culture है उसको वो criticize कर रही है. Making sense? Now, अब भी concept को थोड़ा सा explain कर लेते हैं. Personal is political, right? Personal is political. This is a very famous slogan by the radical feminist. Personal is political. Right? Radical feminist gave slogan that personal is political. Personal is political. Right? If we look history of political philosophy, comma, from Aristotle to John Rawls, John Rawls, RAWL, political में यही dominate करेंगे. From Aristotle to John Rawls divided society into the public sphere and private sphere. Private sphere and public sphere. Right? The public-private dichotomy, यानी डायकोटोमी मतलब ये जो दो अलग अलग स्फीयर है उसका डिबेट, राइट? पब्लिक प्राइवेट डायकोटोमी was criticized by radical feminists. Right? Now you can change the para and write. The philosopher, right, from Aristotle to John Rawls, philosophers from Aristotle to John Rawls argued that argued that the public sphere is a sphere of law, governance, and politics. The public sphere, the public sphere is a sphere of power politics. The public sphere is a sphere of power politics, wherein wherein public sphere is a sphere of power politics, wherein inequality and injustice operates. Therefore, the government should make law. The government should make law in order to minimize inequality and injustice. Right? In contrast, philosophers believe that private sphere is a sphere of altruism. किसने कहा था? Altruism. ब्रैकेट में private sphere, sphere is a sphere of altruism, right? And it is a free from power politics. Hence, government should not intervene in personal matter. Government should not intervene in personal matter. Now hang for a minute. You got the idea? What the traditional philosophers are talking about? They are started talking about public sphere and private sphere. It is Aristotle, कोई भी Hobbes, अभी नाम मैंने हीगल का बताया है, right? He said family is altruism. बहुत प्यार से रहते हैं माता पिता, कोई टेंशन नहीं हो उनको, right? And they sacrifice for each other, right? And अगर altruism मामला है, right? तो state क्यों intervene करेगा? Radical feminists कहते हैं ये सब बकवास है, it's all bakwas, right? Actually, power structure, operates very well within the family, right? And it is a man who subordinates woman within the family that reflects everywhere in the public sphere also, right? Look here. Radical feminists challenged the dichotomy of public-private sphere. Radical feminists challenged the dichotomy of public hyphen भी ऐसे लिख सकते हैं, public private hyphen भी लिख सकते हैं, ऐसे लिख सकते हैं. public-private sphere. Right? They argued that it is not the public sphere. It is not the public sphere where power operates, but it is the personal affair. It is the personal affair wherein power operates between man and woman. It is a personal affair in which power operates between man and woman. The private sphere is not free from power. The private sphere is not free from power. The personal affair or the private affair is not free from power. In family, man has personal choice. In family, man has personal choice, but women don't. Women have no choice but to do domestic work like child rearing, rearing, R-E-A-R-I-N-G, rearing, R-E-A-R, child, R-E-R-I-N-G, child rearing and providing services at home. Right? The sexual relationship between man and woman is also unequal. The sexual relation between man and woman is unequal. Right? Therefore, the private sphere is also a sphere of inequality and injustice. Therefore, private sphere is also a sphere of inequality and injustice. Radical feminist argues that the state must intervene. The state must intervene in the public sphere, as in the private sphere. The state must intervene in the private sphere to make the family more egalitarian. To make the family more egalitarian and just. To make the family more egalitarian and just. When the public sphere is opened, when the public sphere लिखा ना, private लिख दीजिए. When the private sphere is opened for the government scrutiny, when the public sphere private, when the private sphere is open for the government scrutiny, UIT and Y, for the government scrutiny, comma, it becomes political. It becomes political. Right? Therefore, personal is political. Therefore, personal is political. Change the para and write radical feminist wants to make family more democratic and egalitarian. Radical feminist wants to make family more democratic and egalitarian. Right? The state had started making intervention. State had started making intervention in the family. For example, right to abortion, comma, Domestic Violence Act 2005, abortion में लिखा है and medical
should be MTP.
MTP, वही याद नहीं आ रहा था इसलिए मैंने लिखा है, right, सीधा right to abortion लिखा है, क्या है वो? Medical termination of pregnancy, ये ना, so इसको जहाँ पे abortion right लिखा है ना, थोड़ा सा इसको जोड़ दीजिए, में इंडिया में, और अभी अमेंडमेंट किया गया है, कब? 2021 में, इसके बाद 2021 में, and Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. So what is the difference between private and personal? Both are same, private sphere, personal sphere. There is no difference between private and personal. दोनों एक ही, personal affair, private affair. MTPA Act, Triple Talaq Act, Triple Talaq Act. लिखा शुरू का लाइन रहेगा.
Radical feminist wants to make family more democratic and
egalitarian.
State has started making intervention in the family. For example, right to abortion, Domestic Violence Act 2005, Triple Talaq Act.
And trying to make family adjust personal sphere. Right? Fine. Hindu Marriage Act. Yes, Hindu Marriage Act was already there in 1956. That was already there. Hindu Marriage Act was also, of course, it was a personal affair in which state had intervened already. You are right, Shobhir. Hindu Marriage Act was already there. Okay. Change the para and write. Radical feminist does not believe that. Radical feminist does not believe that mere state intervention, mere can bring gender justice. Does not believe that mere state intervention can bring gender justice. Right? This is why. Why? Because the state itself is an institution of patriarchy. Because the state itself is an institution of patriarchy. Right? For feminist, radical feminist, state is rule of man. The state is rule of man, by the man, and for the man. For radical feminists, the state is the rule of man, by the man, and for the man. अब्राहम लिंकन को बिल्कुल दूसरे तरीके से कोट कर दिया, राइट? स्टेट क्या है? ये सारे मैन का एक्सप्रेशन है. तो क्या स्टेट के इंटरवेंशन से बदल जाएगा क्या? नहीं बदलेगा, राइट? State is the rule of man, by the man, and for the man, right? Until we don't change culture, and transform patriarchy into equality, until we don't change culture and transform patriarchy into equality, until we don't change culture and transform patriarchy into equality, right? It is difficult, right, to make family, society, and state more democratic and egalitarian. What idea? कि जब तक कल्चर नहीं बदलेंगे ना ये, और पेट्रियार्की को हम इक्वालिटी में नहीं बदल देंगे, तब तक ये बहुत कुछ लॉ लाने से कुछ नहीं होगा. Of course, personal is political. They prove that. Okay, this personal is not private, right? Personal is not something private which is state should not intervene. Personal is political. But even when a state enters into the personal, does not that personal will be a just order, right? Or equal or egalitarian family. No, right? Because if जब तक हम कल्चर और पेट्रियार्की को बदलेंगे नहीं, फैमिली भी नहीं बदलेगी, सोसाइटी भी नहीं बदलेगी, और स्टेट भी नहीं बदलेगा. Fine. चलिए पहला है राइट. सुशांत मोलर वॉकिंग in her book, OKIM, Susan in her book Gender Justice and Family Gender Justice and Family has argued that had argued four meaning four meaning of personal is political. Personal is political. First, it shows that the state neglects the private sphere. The state neglects the private sphere. State neglects the private sphere and adds to the exploitation of women. The next first notion. It is wrong to think that a state in action does not impact women. It is wrong that the state in action does not impact women. Third, it shows that family is the key institution of patriarchy. It shows that family is the key institution of patriarchy. The subordinate status in the family the subordinate status of woman in the family translates into the public sphere. Public sphere. Therefore, women in the public sphere, women's status in the public sphere, women's status in the public sphere is a consequence of patriarchy. भी वो unequal है. ठीक है? Now we will talk about patriarchy. अच्छा, इसमें कोई दिक्कत है? आसान है ना? कोई समझने में कोई दिक्कत? शोभे अभी any word concept या अश्विन आशीष अर्जुन क्लियर है? ओके, शोभे राघव सर, व्हाट वाज द सॉल्यूशन? सॉल्यूशन कहा ना कि जब तक कल्चर को नहीं बदलेंगे ना, पैट्रियार्की, जब तक आप अपने घर में खाना नहीं बनाएंगे, कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं देंगे, नहीं बदलेगा। जब तक आप जब गिफ्ट लेके जाते हैं, मत सोचिए कि लड़का है लड़की, जो गिफ्ट अच्छा लगे ले लीजिए। डोंट थिंक अबाउट दिस माइन्यूट डिटेल, राइट?
जिसको गिफ्ट दे उसके इंटरेस्ट पे डिपेंड करता है। उसको वीडियो गेम्स पसंद है, उसको डाल के दे देते कोई
नहीं, कुछ ऐसा भी जेंडर न्यूट्रल, there is a unisex saloon, have you heard about it? Right, things are becoming unisex. बहुत सारे unisex आ रहा है। Unisex is the concept of gender neutral, right? क्यों girls और boys के लिए अलग चीजें बनी हुई, right? But at the same time, we cannot think about equality. There's other women and men are not equal, right? Right? There are little difference, and that we keep in mind at the same time, right? Solution be the socializing both boys and girls equally always. Yes, yes, well, yes. Sure. Socialization is a culture, is a solution. We need to change culture. Right, patriarchy. Yeah. Okay. Literal meaning of patriarchy is rule by the father. The literal meaning of patriarchy is rule by the father. It is often described right, the dominance of man, and subordination of woman. And subordination of women in the society at large. In the society at large. Right? Feminists use the concept of patriarchy. Feminists used the concept of patriarchy to describe our relation between man and woman. Feminists used the notion of patriarchy, or the concept of patriarchy, to describe our relationship between man and woman. Feminists believe that the dominance of father within the household, symbolizes male supremacy. The dominance of father within the household symbolizes male supremacy. This male dominance within the family, reproduces. The male dominance within the family reproduces a systematic dominance. Male dominance within the family reproduces a systematic dominance of male in other walk of life. Systematic dominance of male in other walk of life, like education, at work, in our office, in the government, and in politics. And in politics. Right? Kate Millett same Kate Millett, comma, a feminist, a radical feminist, said that patriarchy consists of two principles. Patriarchy consists two principles. Pehla, the male shall dominate female, shall dominate female, B, the elder male shall dominate the younger. The elder male shall dominate the younger. चलता है, उसके बाद पिताजी का चलता है, उसके बाद हम सीरीज होता है, राइट? बट वो मर्दों में होता है, ये स्ट्रक्चर फिर वुमेन में नहीं दिखती है, राइट? इतना ऑर्डर फॉलो करने का, फाइन. Change the paradigm now, right? Feminists do not have single or simple analysis of patriarchy. Feminists do not have a single or simple analysis of patriarchy. Feminists do not have a single or simple analysis of patriarchy. Liberal feminists drew attention to the unequal distribution of rights. Liberal feminists drew attention to the unequal distribution of rights and entitlement. They highlighted unequal representation of women. They highlighted unequal representation of women in politics. From a market and offices, especially at the top position. ठीक है? लिबरल फेमिनिस्ट के देखिए, मार्केट में जाके देखिए, यहाँ पर जाके देखिए, वुमेन रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं है. ये क्यों नहीं है? पेट्रियार्की. Liberal feminist emphasized on economic aspects of patriarchy. Socialist feminists emphasized on economic aspects of patriarchy, like private property, like private property, and women's exploitation within the capitalism. Women's exploitation within the capitalism. Radical feminists, radical feminists, attracted attention. Radical feminists attracted attention to unequal power distribution. Unequal power distribution between man and woman within the family. Radical feminists attract attention to the unequal power distribution between man and woman within the family. In addition, they emphasize on sexual control of man over woman. They emphasize on sexual control of man over woman. Therefore, patriarchy can be seen as a basic structure of the society. Therefore, patriarchy can be seen as a basic structure of the society at large. It tells us that we are living in gendered society. Living in gendered society. Gendered society. Gendered society. अगर कोई रो दिया, अरे यार औरतों की तरह रो रहे हो यार, क्या मतलब है? देखो क्या क्या कर रहा है. हाँ, अगर लड़की थोड़ा सा ब्रेक हो गई, अरे मर्दों जैसी बिहेव कर रही है. नहीं बोलते हैं, राइट? कविता भी बना लेते हैं. रोटी पापा का रोटी गोल गोल, माने मम्मी का रोटी गोल गोल, पापा का पैसा गोल गोल, राइट? खूब लड़ी मर्दानी, वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. Have you heard about that? बुंदेले के मुंह, हमने सुनी कहानी थी. खूब लड़ी मर्दानी, उसको जनानी भी बोल सकते ना. जनानी वर्ड है. खूब लड़ी जनानी, वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. खूब लड़ी वो औरत झांसी वाली रानी थी. नहीं, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी, वो तो लड़ी लेकिन मर्दों की तरह लड़ी नहीं बोली. She was a woman, right? So if you look at, we are living in a gendered society. हर चीज gendered बटा हुआ है. कुछ आप करिए, बोलेगा ये लड़कों वाला है या लड़कियों वाला है.
Even nowadays when parents tell, हमने अपने लड़के को लड़कों की तरफ
पाला है. Yes, हमने अपने लड़कों की तरफ पाला है. Exactly, you are right. लड़कों को तरह एजुकेशन, शिक्षा दी है. लड़कों को तरह फ्रीडम दिया है. What does it mean? लड़कों की तरफ. It means entitlement किसके पास है? लड़कों के पास. प्रिविलेज किसके पास है? लड़कों के पास. तो जो प्रिविलेज उसको भी मैंने लड़कियों को दिया. Right? So we are living in a gendered society. It's gendered. Look at the constitution. President he मिलेगा आपको. एक जगह president, उसके बाद he should be age of this year. Right? Even the Rashtrapati, the Madam Murmu is a Rashtrapati. Rashtrapati है. But can be called Rashtrapati. A woman can be Pati. Right? So can be called Rashtrapati. That we can't. Look at the language. Language is gendered. Right? There is one scholar, V. Spike Peterson, and she argued that everything, even law, history, language, literature, everything should be rewritten from the gender neutral perspective, because everything is gendered in the society. सब कुछ gender है. Fine, ठीक है. Even professions are gendered. Yeah, not so big. Even on Raksha Bandhan, sister ties Rakhi to brother to protect her. Can't sister protect herself on her own? It can be also better. Yes, it is a patriarchal notion, right? It is a patriarchal notion.
And then we have this Karwa Chauth. These all are
करवा चौथ, हाँ वो सह अपने पति का चेहरा देखना. कभी पति को देखा है व्रत करके अपनी पत्नी का चेहरा देखते हुए?
nowadays it's a trend.
My goodness, it is increasing. It is increasing, right? I've never seen Karwa Chauth at such a large level. Now we are witnessing from few years, right?
I think TV serials are the
TV serials, movies also reflect, no?
fantasizing and romanticizing.
Of course, romantic, yes. So, अगर आप करवा चौथ नहीं रखो शीतल अपने घर में शादी के बाद सास सत्र सुनाएंगी, मेरे बेटे को जिंदा नहीं रखना देखना चाहती है, isn't it? होता है, right? And let me tell you, it's not the male who carries patriarchy. No, female is very sharp in that sense. Female is very sharp in that sense to carry patriarchy. It is a psychology. It is a mental things. Right? अब सास को आप बदल भी नहीं सकते हो. वो 70 साल की हो गई. 70 साल उन्होंने वही देखा. तो क्या करोगे? मजबूरी में होके बोलोगे कि चलो मैं ही मान लेती हूँ. Right? Because you respect the elder one. Right? And you think that I'm highly educated or more educated than. Right? नहीं, अगर इक्वल होगी तब तो कोई बात ही नहीं. Right? I'm just speculating. Right? तो
प्रधानमंत्री को इंदिरा गांधी को सर बोला जाता था.
तो why प्रधानमंत्री?
इंदिरा गांधी जी को सर बोला जाता था. वो तो लेडी है, उनको सर बोला.
सर क्यों बोलो? आप अगर डीएम बनोगे तो वहां लिखते हैं मैडम. आपने एक सीरियल आ गया मैडम सर. Why मैडम सर? Say simple मैडम. राइट? अगर कोई मेल है उसको बोले कि ओके नीलेश मैडम, उसको अच्छा लगेगा? नहीं लगेगा ना. उसको मैडम बोलो ना. मैडम को मैडम बोलो, सर को सर बोलो. राइट? और नीलेश अगर मान लो डीएम है, उसको बोले कि ओके नीलेश मैडम, होता है ना. तो yeah, Ashish is asking how to change patriarchal system even when the eldest lady in the house wishes for a boy almost in every case. Yes, it's right. It's a brutal truth that woman also wants a baby boy. Right? And baby boy gives a lot of happiness to the society or to the family as compared to the girl. Right? So I told you that Ashish, patriarchy, it should not that a man carries. Actually, woman is a more sharper carriers of patriarchy. Right? So धीरे धीरे ये आएगा. ये समाजवाद की तरह नहीं है. It will come through gradually. Cultural change. And let me give you an example. 1950 देख लीजिए और अब का जमाना देख लीजिए. What difference? There is huge difference.
So nowadays I've observed this, that if a family has got a daughter, they accept it. They, we consider boys and girls equal. And when that girl grow up and become responsible, then also they call ये तो हमारा बेटा है. They feel fine to have a girl, but still
recognizing beta.
Yeah.
That is also problematic.
So the thinking has to be changed.
Yeah, that is also problematic. You said ना कि मैं इसको बेटों की तरह पाला है, right? Why you consider beta as a better? What is patriarchy? You find male leader. Right? Have you heard about male chauvinism? What is male chauvinism?
They're being very strong and
Yeah.
behaving like a gentleman.
What is male chauvinism? Ashwin, Ashish, Arjun, Chauvin.
A good behavior towards women.
Sorry?
Good behavior, being polite and
No, that's not male chauvinism.
towards women.
No. What is male chauvinism?
It's mostly concerned with him being very strong, brave, and then being very gentleman kind of person.
Male chauvinism means male considered that he is superior than woman. Male chauvinism is a general perception, if you go to the family, it may consider he knows better. Right? He is superior. Right? He has more physical strength, he has more mental capacity, right? He is superior than that. That is male chauvinism. Right? Have you heard about Dismantling state? Dismantling state. Okay, Dismantling state. B-I-M-A-R-U. Dismantling state. Yes. The Ashish Ghosh, who coined the term Bimaru, same person the term Bimaru. Ashish Ghosh. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, right? Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and UP. These are called Bimaru because due to the backwardness. Now, Bimaru state is the state who kills women. The female pesticide at highest. The female pesticide is at highest, like Haryana. Haryana is Bimaru state. Right? It does not mean Western UP does not kill women. It does not mean Bihar does not kill women. Female pesticide is omnipresent. And Amartya Sen has given data 2 millions, 20 lakh. 2 millions women every year. 20 lakh women are killed every year because the priority of male. Right, Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, so we think how trend is changing now. There are so much Papa ki pyara, Papa ki pyara. Papa ki pari nahi likha isne. Papa ki pariya, okay. Papa ki pariya. Right? So demand states are the states which kills women. Right? There are 2 million women are killed in Bombay itself. Right? Think about, and those states who had good infrastructure, right, kills more women. Those states who have more good infrastructure, right, and those areas which have, more access to the closer city and doctors, they kills more women. It is even when the later Vedic era, the movement caste gets solidified, it deteriorated the woman condition. Yeah, you're right. When the caste, because caste and actually look at the woman's subordination, it is justified the religious practices, right? Religious text. Have you heard about Ramcharitmanas? What Ramcharitmanas talks about? That Dhol, Pashu, Shudra, Gawar, Nari should be beaten 4 times in a day. ढोल, पशु, गवार, शूद्र and नारी, यह सब तारण के अधिकारी. Right? What Manu talks about, he said, take a bamboo and split it into 4 times and beat your woman 4 times in a day so that she could be under control of you. Right? Woman cannot be trusted even if she is your mother. It's Manu's statement. Right? So, if you look at this product, right?
Whose statement?
Factory is there already.
Sir, whose statement?
Manu. Right? Manu is considered as the first king on the earth.
So Chanakya's statement was also.
Chanakya also deteriorated woman's condition. Right? He also deteriorated woman's condition. Fine. So of course, this entire the product that we are talking about, factory is a religion. Right? But not only religion, but political philosophy also subordinated woman. Religion to God. Yeah, woman is a figure like a fortune. Matrimony. Right. Now we need to write. It's an unending talk that we can talk about. जितना बात करो उतना कम है. But बात करना चाहिए. Until you don't talk it, you don't sensitize people. बातें करने से आप लोगों को I cannot realize I cannot experience like a woman because I'm not a woman, right? But what I can feel, I can realize. No, there is something called injustice that is happened with women, right? And at least me, I should not do any such things in my household.
Why they deteriorated women? I mean, their opinions are non-conclusive.
Their sexuality, see.
I mean, on what basis?
The women are escaped. See, women are considered as a जो आपको धोखा दे सकती कभी भी टाइम पे.
धोखा तो सर कोई भी दे सकता.
तो exactly. So women are considered कि उनका जो sexuality है, that is not under control. She can align with any person for sex. So we have to control your woman. Yes, Sheetal? It's a male. Yeah, mostly it is a male who engage in extramarital affair and not honest with the monogamous sexual relations. It's generally male.
In this context, we also have.
But जब मेल होता तो फीमेल भी तो होती है, दोनों होते हैं. ऐसा तो नहीं कि आप हवा में you go and have sexual relations. No, there is a male and female. But female are derogated, female are subordinated. मेल तो भाई कहाँ देखो मर्द है वो तो. मेल के पास तो अलग सा sovereignty है.
Sir, how can we know the truth? I mean, who is right and who is not? I mean, on one hand, Plato is in favor of women. On the other hand, Machiavellian is
Woman, Plato is in favor of women only for the sake of state, ideal state, to run state better. Let me tell you, even Plato subordinated woman's sexuality within the authority of man, state. Remember his idea of feminism, that it is the only philosopher king who will decide who will do sex with whom. बताइए कौन सा celebration कर दिया उसने woman को?
So they are such big philosophers, and why?
यार philosopher ठीक है, philosopher are not an island. Philosopher are child of his time and context and everything. He is very much tied with the society. Now we are talking about because philosophy has so much evolved. Right? So it's not Plato or Aristotle mistake. If you look at the surroundings, there is no such thought. अगर आज भी हम 12वीं सेंचुरी में होते, अगर ऐसी बात नहीं होती तो शायद लड़कियां हमारे साथ पढ़ नहीं रही। It is the 21st century. The world has changed a lot.
The world has changed, but the basic human nature will remain the same throughout the.
No, it's changing, man. It's changing.
So, but still men want their rights.
Chanakya can also be mentioned in this case. Yes, I was talking about Chanakya. We are talking about Chanakya, that he, degenerated the woman condition. Happy, we were talking about, I hope you have joined soon, percentages are the false stereotypes made on women, because there are many examples from the immemorial time when women teaches to family and can be good. अब ये है कुछ स्टोरी देखो, कुछ स्टोरी है. Yeah, you are right. It should be. If you talk about pre-Vedic period, right? There were women. There are few. Even today, if you say few society are equal society. If you go to the northeastern part, right? You are from Arunachal Pradesh. It is a more equal society. If you go to the tribal society, it is a more equal society. Tribal society. There is a more equality between man and woman. Right? If you go to the early Vedic period, you have lots of names. Maitri, Gargi, right? Who were highly educated and participated in deliberation with Yajnavalkya. Right? Yajnavalkya. ठीक है? ख्याति ज़्यादा बताएगी इंसेंट फिलॉसफी के बारे में. Manipur is commanded with women empowerment. Yeah, you're right, Khyati. Manipur has done a lot of good work for women empowerment. Kerala has done lots of good work for women empowerment.
So, but now what court is giving, that's completely against.
Right, now, okay. Now, you should talk about the woman condition, patriarchy in the family, about the caste in your family. Right? Just watch a movie. For example, any movie चला दीजिए. Right? Based on आपने water movie देखी है? नहीं देखी है? कुछ movie चला दीजिए और उसी में बात कीजिए woman role पे. Right? जितना deliberation करेंगे, उतना अच्छी बात है. Sometimes talk about caste. Sometimes talks about inequality, right? How much we are privileged that we are having food all the 3 times. But there are many people, who has no access to food even twice a day. There are many people. There are a number of people, right? How we can sensitize our family, right? And friends and people. Right, to show that one should not waste the food. Right, give the food to anyone who needs. Fine. Anyway, Dangal movie दिखा दीजिए. Yes. चलिए, gender society. चलिए, एक चीज बता देता हूँ छोटी. आप इसमें से लिख लेना जेंडर और सेक्स में अंतर बता देता हूँ. जेंडर सोसाइटी का क्या मतलब है? जेंडर सोसाइटी का मतलब क्या है कि जेंडर सोसाइटीज गिव्स प्रेफरेंसेस टू वन सेक्स ओवर द अदर्स. जेंडर सोसाइटी किसको प्रेफरेंस देते हैं? अगर ऐसी सोसाइटी जो प्रेफरेंसेस दे ओवर द मैन, इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड जेंडर सोसाइटी. समझ में आ रहा है? Gender society is also where women are preferred over men, but there is no such society. Have you seen कि उसको पहला बेटा हुआ, दूसरा बेटा हुआ, तीसरा बेटा हुआ, चौथा बेटा हुआ, पांचवा बेटा हुआ, बेटा ही बेटी के लिए लड़ाई, he wants baby. Have you heard about it? No, you have heard about it. पहली बेटी, दूसरी बेटी, तीसरी बेटी, चौथा बेटा, fine, closed. Right? नहीं, अब दंगल मूवी की जो बात कर रहे हैं, दंगल मूवी में वो जो है उसका बाप वो बेटा चाहता है बट बेटी होती है, बेटा चाहता है बेटी होती है, बेटा चाहता है बेटी होती है, राइट? और वो अपने बेटी को बेटा जैसे पालना शुरू करता है, राइट? लेट मी टेल यू द cultural impact, right? What Dangal movie tried to reflect, बेटी could be the beta, but बेटी is a lady. Fogart is a Fogart. She is the lady, and we proud of that Fogart. 3 sisters, right? She brought so many medals for India.
ऑप्शन है तो बेटा था, बेटी को तो करना पड़ा। जैसे 2 बेटे और 1 बेटी होती तो बेटी को भी सेम करवा देते।
नहीं करो। One of my friend is youngest and last is his family. I mean 6. Yeah. You know, one of my uncle, he had 8 daughters. He has 8 daughters. Right? What I should say, he died 2 years ago. 3 daughters are left without father, waiting for marriage. See the consequences of gender society. Right? So, what is gender society? Gender society gives preference to one sex over the other. Right? So, what is sex? Sex is a biological difference. Biological difference. And it is not that there is only 2 sexes. Let me tell you, आपके दिमाग में मैं वो निकाल दूँ. It's not that there is only male and female. There are multiple. आपने सुना होगा. And ये तो sexual orientation के ऊपर है. इसको नहीं बताऊंगा. आपने सुना है हरमा, फरमा, मरमा नहीं सुना होगा. There are at least 7 variety of sex. 7 variety of sex doctor had resourced today. So not only male and female, there are also transgender. Right? जिसको सबको हम transgender में count कर लेते हैं. Transgender में सारा आ जाता है. But transgender मतलब ये नहीं कि अलग-अलग quality है transgender में. There are different sex. Fine. So sex is a biological difference, right? In larger society, sex is a biological difference between man and woman, right? LGBTQI is about sexual orientation. It's not sex. There is a difference between sex and sexual orientation. Yeah. Right? So, जो आपने LGBTQIA प्लस भी लिखा है क्या? प्लस सेक्शन पे डिवीजन और ये सेक्स पे डिवीजन. The difference between portion. Right? And if you look at, gender. What is gender? Gender is cultural division of work. What is gender? Is cultural division of work between man and woman. Right? So, mummy ka roti gol gol, papa ka paisa gol gol. Now, women are then who will come under transgender? Transgender means अभी तो मैंने बोला फर्मा, मर्मा, right? Female, shemale, मतलब सब मिक्स है यहाँ. Lady boy, Ashish बोल रहा है, lady boy, shemale, anyway, there are different gender. Okay, sex. What is gender? Is a cultural, it is a cultural division of work between man and woman. Right? There is one Kate Millett, Kate Millett in her book Sexual Politics, she did that. She replaces the class. Marx ने किस पे किया है? Right? Kate Millett बोला क्लास को रिप्लेस करो, यहाँ पर लाओ gender. Right? ये आपका जो डायलेक्टिक है सर, आपका जो डायलेक्टिक है वो क्लास पर बेस्ड है. यहाँ पे आप क्लास मतलब सेक्स लो, ये सेक्सुअल डायलेक्टिक. और पहला डिवीजन जो पहली चीज जो किसी ने किसी को सबऑर्डिनेट किया वो मेन राइट. What are the consequences of gender society? Gang rape. Rape is not a product of sexual desire. Right? It is an expression of patriarchy. Right? आप जाएंगे रोड पे, लोग have you heard about EVG और चेस करना? सब patriarchy का, gender society का consequences है. Female feticide. It is a consequences of gender society because we prefer man over fine. ठीक है, तो ये खुद से लिख लीजिएगा. Gender society, why gender society is bad. And then next class I'll talk about Simone de Beauvoir and fourth wave of feminism. It will take approximately half an hour, and then I'll start, political theory, another topic that is state. Different perspective of state. Right? बहुत कुछ जानते हैं आप लोग, थोड़ा बता के 2 दिन में खत्म हो जाएगा. ठीक है, चलो और पूछना है कुछ बताओ. गांधी गांधी पढ़ाएंगे ना, उस वक्त पूरा पढ़ाएंगे, टेंशन मत. गांधीइज्म मींस the concept of Gandhi. So स्वराज सत्याग्रह जो गांधी है उस वक्त पढ़ाएंगे गांधीइज्म.